virtual in art show. We are so excited to be here tonight. Me and the few people that are in here, due to COVID, of course, we can't have the big normal celebration that we usually do. We're still excited to be here. The judges have been here all afternoon, finding out, picking out the award winners for the evening. We had over 100 artists enter into this show, so we're really excited to have that many artists, and we had 63 finalists for this show that were able to hang at the Art Center here, at the Hallberg Center for the Arts. And the judges were able to come in and view all of these pieces in person and choose their top favorites. We have got 4 Artistic Merit Awards going out tonight. We have 4 Artistic Excellence Awards going out tonight, 3 Judges' Choice and 1 Director's Choice. We want to thank the East Central Regional Arts Council. They were able to give us a grant. The activity was also made possible by you, the voters.
Through an appropriation from the Minnesota State Legislature with money from the state's general fund and the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Our sponsor for this evening is Hoppy Homes, so we want to be sure to thank them. There is a lot of work that goes into this whole process. The events committee at the Art Center, all of us are volunteers who take up time to hang the artwork, to get all the, this year especially, due to COVID, there's so much technology that goes behind it. We've got some, we'll be doing a 3D presentation of the artwork, also on our website, wyomingareacreativearts.org. That will be up tomorrow morning, so for those of you who are looking to see for the 3D piece, that will be tomorrow morning, that will be up and going. So I've thanked sponsors, I've thanked the events committee, I want to thank the board to the Wyoming Area Creative Arts community. A lot of time and effort is put into this, so, give everybody a round of applause. There's nobody here. There you go. We couldn't have this amazing in-art show without our fantastic judges. We've got Rurik Hover, we have Allison Baker, and we have Greg Lecker this year. I'd like to bring Rurik in first so he can tell us a little bit about the whole judging process and what he thinks of the Hallberg Center for the Arts and the in-art show. Rurik.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to be chosen as a judge for a few years here now, and the system that we like to use is to have the judges go around and pick the pieces that they like and conceptually put them into categories, or at least get a feel for them for what they think is of merit. And then after that takes about half hour, an hour. Then the fun part comes where we all get together and haggle. So whereas I might pick a piece that I think is, for the first award tier, somebody else might think it's for a second, and then we just kind of haggle. And then oftentimes, because of the very different backgrounds of the judges, you kind of see some things that you maybe hadn't seen before. Like if I pick this piece and I explain why, somebody comes along and says, I like this piece, and they whine, well, I didn't see that, Today, Allison happens to have a bit more experience with sculpture than I do, so she was kind of schooling me on a couple things, and obviously maybe her picks were a little bit more sculptural. I come from more of a painting background, and I like technique. Sorry, I'm a technique guy. So I'm looking around at things that might be a little bit more technical. But again, there's plenty of other things. There's a couple of fabulous abstracts here today. There are some nice sculptures. There's some woodworking that is very outstanding. And it's just been a phenomenal experience over the years.
Thank you, Rurik. That was wonderful to hear the whole process of what our judges do to, determine the winners of the in-art show. I'd like you to introduce you to Allison Baker. She's going to talk to us a little bit about her process. Allison?
Thank you so much. Not slick with these yet. It's been fantastic. I'm really honored to come here as a juror. The Hallberg Center for the Arts very kindly hosted a solo exhibition of mine not quite a year ago, and it's just really great to see a rural arts community and a rural arts space that's finding really innovative ways to thrive. It's been an honor to jury the show. It's exciting to see a rural art space that has a commitment to both fine art, craft, and contemporary work. I'm excited about the show. As Rick was saying, there's some really beautiful, just sort of like traditionally well-rendered paintings, and I'm excited by the sort of the contemporary and some really experimental sculpture that's happening as well.
So we also have Greg Lecker as one of our judges. He is a plein air artist, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself. Greg?
Thanks, Jess. Hallberg is a favorite art center of mine. To have this volunteer-driven treasure that really shines while many other arts organizations are struggling right now is really a testament to the enthusiasm of these folks. And I was very honored to be asked to judge. I've judged a couple other things in the past. It's always very daunting to be able to be presented with 100 or a couple hundred pieces and to pick out not your favorite, but what you consider to be the best of these pieces. And I've heard of various criteria over the years. The Hallberg Center provided the three of us judges with a form with various categories that we could go through and score. And then we spent quite a lot of time doing that online, looking at the images. For me, it was easiest for me to print out the images to have as thumbnails that I could really judge them objectively from one to the other. You don't want to be a hard grader at the beginning and then run out of steam as it goes on. It was several weeks worth of judging because the entries come in over the several weeks. But then when we come back here, then we really put some of those items aside. We still have some maybe favorites that stuck with us, but it was interesting to see which pieces made the cut because it's not just my rating, but it's Rurik and Allison, and to see which ones show up here, to see, oh, that one made it, and I can't remember all the other ones. But then to actually see the pieces in real life. Photography is very important to present an artist's work. And if you ever apply to grants, you must go to the best photographs that you possibly can. But there's no substitute to seeing the works in person. And so I urge the viewers here to come here and see these pieces. The sense of scale is very important. The piece that you see behind you is so ginormous compared to what I expected. Even though I could have read the dimensions, that I could see the dimensions, but to actually see it in real life and to realize that it's not a tabletop type of piece of art, it's very large. And a lot of these pieces capture the light in a way that a photograph can't without being glary in some respects. But when you're here, you have the ability to move around. And to be able to work with other judges is wonderful, so that it's not just my opinion, but we can bounce ideas off of each other and we can understand. Each of us have specialties in terms of our art medium and the level of detail, the emotion that comes through our work. And I really appreciated working with Allison and Rurik tonight. So thank you for the opportunity. And please come down and see these pieces in real life. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Greg. So what everybody really wants to know here is who are the winners of tonight's In Art Show. With no further ado, let us start awarding. First winner for the evening is Dennis Zerwas Jr., his piece called Out There. Do I have a judge who would like to come and talk about Dennis's piece?
When we were doing the online judging, there are some pieces that just kind of speak to you or stand out or suck you in. This to me was one that was just very, very appealing. Now, I've told my fellow judges today that this show and today's judging, I am a sucker for color. And this to me is just a beautiful little microcosm of each little marble. In the description that we received, apparently this was just a gentleman collects marbles, or person, and they put them on a glass table and then just raised it up and took a photograph. I mean, how utterly simple. And then just backlit it. You know, that just goes to show that art does not need to be complex or high-end or high technique or anything like that. So I fell in love with this little one, and it's a very nice piece, so congratulations.
All right, yay! Our second Artistic Merit Award White Pine by Cindy Fürstenberg.
This piece appealed to me when I saw it online because of the strong vertical element and the fact that it was made out of textile, even though it looked like it had some interesting depth, and I wanted to know more about it. When I came here, some of the elements that really appealed to me were the fact that the trunk here reads almost like mica or pieces of stained glass, which it's tough to photograph that, but hopefully it's coming out well there. And then the quality of the light here, which is not from necessarily the accent light, but it's more the sheen of the material is catching the light in a certain way. And I like the fact that the needles themselves are three-dimensional, but they're not casting strong shadows of themselves onto the material, because you wouldn't see that in real life, with needles casting shadows of themselves on the sky. And also the difference in these elements here, which almost read as, one of the things I thought about were sponges in the sea, and whether they're like a negative printing of it. And then the subtlety of some of the almost the negative images of the needles that are shown here, where they are, it's more like the shadow, but instead of it being a cast shadow, it's more of a cast light. And then the presentation of the piece seems to work really well. This would not, I don't feel that this would work well if it was just behind a piece of glass. It really shows itself off well hanging, that one can see the element. And it's a nice sense of scale, that we're not talking a small piece. This is a large piece, and just was very appealing to me in terms of not, it's not like a rough piece of wood that maybe would be obvious to create a trunk out of. So kudos to the piece, White Pine.
All right, great, thank you, Greg. Now we do have 4 of the Artistic Merit Awards, and each one of these pieces will be awarded $100. The third piece to be awarded the Artistic Merit this evening is Mysterious by Richard Mittelstadt.
Hi, I really adored this piece. It was beautiful sort of when we were first looking at it on the Juris slides, and it was just a real pleasure to see it in person. There's just some things that you never really quite pick up in photograph. There's just some really lovely textures happening, and then the sort of the gradation and the sort of aggressive mark making that's happening here and in some other sections. It's just a lovely sort of beautifully rendered abstract piece. I think oftentimes in abstract pieces, like well rendered isn't something that you really think about, or something that's often said. But some sort of like the modeling up here, it feels, you get a real sense of sort of volume and scale, and there's almost a fleshiness to qualities of it, and things that are maybe evocative of both sort of the body and nature, and also like ribs or bones or things like that. But it's just it was a beautiful piece, and it was a pleasure to see it in person.
All right, now we're going to go all the way up to the stage for our final Artistic Merit Award. This piece is by Dennis Genero, and it is called Car Wash Number 1. It is digital photography. Would anyone like to?
So what struck me as remarkable about this piece is that it is a photograph, but it reads to me so much as an abstract painting. In judging, I was reading the story. What this is a photograph of a car wash with a little bit of digital manipulation on the colors, obviously. It just reads multiple levels. So it's also printed on either sheet metal or glass. So you probably won't see this in there, but it has a high gloss, flat shine, like a freshly buffed car. So it operates on multiple levels to me. It is a photograph that reads as an abstract that is then placed on a metal background. So it kind of is self-referential in what it is. It's a wonderful piece.
So now we get to move on to the Artistic Excellence Awards. This is a piece by Terri Huro. It is called Iris Study. It's a watercolor and graphite.
Honestly, I'm not monopolizing things, but this was one of the standouts for me. I am a technician. I like photorealism. I like high levels of craftsmanship. And this piece is just a beautiful, well-crafted, detailed pencil drawing that then was covered over with a light watercolor that has a wonderful abstract quantity to it. So a moment ago I was talking about, things hitting on multiple levels. Artistically, this is wonderful. Technically, this is wonderful. The delicacy is wonderful. And then the application of the watercolor is a little bit more abstract and a little bit more wild. So once again, it feeds that dialogue, that narrative that you're kind of looking for, like, what else? When I look at art or when I'm making art, I often look at it and I'm thinking, what else can I do? What else could they do? You come back at it and, okay, great. You know what? Honestly, I didn't even notice these couple little splashes. You come back and there's always a little eye candy. There's always a little something else to reward yourself. I already mentioned Twinkies, but it's just that. It's just indulgent. So, beautiful piece.
Now I'm going to turn around here and we are going to go to our first sculpture award for the evening. This is Betsy Alwin's Lightness of Being wins an Artistic Excellence Award.
I really adore this piece. This was, I was immediately excited about this when I saw it again in the jury's slides. Very sort of much a sculpture piece. The rebar that's been flocked in this sort of like rusty color, it's just really lovely. I'm not sure if you can see in the videos, but it's, so it has an applied surface on it that if you've ever touched like you sometimes get like the holiday cards that have like the faux snow on them and they're slightly fuzzy. There's that, and just this really lovely mix of materials. You have sort of foam and then this ceramic piece that is sort of a lace, and it's really quite delicate. So just the mix of materials and the form, and it's just beautiful. And it's really exciting for me to see work like the truly contemporary work like this with some sort of nods to craft in the ceramics in a rural art space. Is just really exciting for me. But yeah, I love this piece. It's beautiful. Oh, thank you.
Yay! Again, that's Betsy Alwin's Lightness of Being sculpture. We're going to head over into the middle area here, where we're going to award our third Artistic Excellence Award. And this piece is by Legeros. This is called Leave in Formation.
So this piece works on so many different levels. It's watercolor, but I think it even photographs really well. It feels almost like a collage. There's a lot of depth, so much more depth than one often sees from the standpoint of a painting, and especially watercolor, because the material itself, the medium is a very flat medium. It's very easy to photograph, but there's so much depth in this piece. And when I speak about the collage, I'm speaking about like the contrast between like the light leaves and then the darker leaves, and the depth that you're getting from the watery material that the leaves are floating in. It's very subtle, it's fairly dark, but it shows the mastery of watercolor. Watercolor is not easy. Once you touch the paint to the paper, it's there. It's not easy to remove that, so it's a one-time shot. And it really worked for me. It's good contrast, great color, the red, blue, brown, black. So it's a lovely piece.
I have to chime in briefly. I'm going to give you a little bit of process. So when we are selected as judges, we do the first round of judging online, and we don't see names, we don't see anything other than the piece, the description, the measurements, the image, and whatever comment that the artist wrote. So when we come in to do the judging and awarding like today, all of these signs are flipped backwards. So we cannot see the artist, we cannot see the medium, we cannot see the price, anything that's on the label. Now, what I want to interject is that in looking at this piece and a couple others around here today, we had to actually call over Jess or one of the other volunteers and say, can you please look at the label and tell me what the medium is? Because that often contributes to what you're going to think of this. So when you look at a piece and you walk by it, and as you can see, this looks very photographic, very real. So I had to ask, is this a watercolor? Is this a photograph? Is this a digital thing? So my point is, kudos to the artist. Again, I'm the technician of the group here. So it's really well done that you had the trompe l'oeil, the fool the eye aspect where the judges had to ask the medium. So very well done.
All right, our final Artistic Excellence Award, and I also wanted to mention that these awards are $200, and this one is Synchronicity by Emily Gray Koehler.
Yeah, so Allison pointed, you do this because this was one of my favorite choices. I used to do a number of years of printmaking back in college and shortly after. And for this to work as well as it is, all depends on the registration. So you're doing a layer of yellow, 2 greens, a black, and what looks like a rainbow gradient of blue. So to be able to get everything to register perfectly so that you don't have things sticking off the side is masterful. The design is wonderful, it's playful, it's fun, it's frivolous. I've been fortunate enough in the last couple of years to have fireflies, lightning bugs in my yard, and so it just struck me as just a playful, wonderful little something that reminds me of my little safe haven in my backyard. Again, well done, well crafted, well designed, and I mean, nothing says Minnesota like the night sky and your pine trees and your fireflies. So again, very well done.
The judges' choices are awarded $500 for their pieces. Let's see, which one should I do first? I think I will do Mary Welke's Steward of the Land. Steward of the Land is a mixed media piece by Mary Welke.
I'm really excited to learn of the artist's name. I had no idea that this is quite different from Mary's other work, so I had no inkling that this was Mary's work. The aspects of this that appealed to me were the mixed media aspect of it, and yet the fact that it conjures a very recognizable imagery of the field and the tractor up here in the house, and the notion of looking a very high horizon, so it's really all about the land. And the aspect that one will see when one comes here to see the show in person is how the piece is made up of these various, the corrugated cardboard and the burlap materials, and then the actual pieces of nature brought in to create the space. And the division of the space is very critical in how this piece works, that it's a orange, blue, light blue color complementary, which works well. I'm familiar with Mary's work in terms of talking about land this year and doing some harvesting of crops and whatnot, but this is a new piece, and I'm assuming that it's part of the direction that she's going to. Really looking forward to seeing what more comes out of this. It's a very interesting piece, so please come and see it.
Say something too.
I have to chime in. I'm sorry, guys. So we have Greg and we have Alice and myself. We all come from 3 very disparate disciplines. This was the one piece that all of us unanimously, right off the bat, agreed on as being a major contender for one of the first prizes. And since I like telling tales out of school, I'm going to tell another little brief one. As we were judging, we were picking the sculptures, we were picking the watercolor, stuff like that. Allison had made the comment, well, we haven't really picked any paintings yet. And after agreeing on this, I'm like, well, this one's at least 10% painting. And that's basically all I want to do, is just be a smart ass. So, wonderful piece, and that's how we work in judging.
Yay! Again, that is Mary Welke's Steward of the Land. That is a beautiful piece. Our second judge's choice is by Ken Eckrall. This is a scone vase. This is an amazing piece of artwork here.
This piece is small, it's off in the corner, it's almost overlooked, but this is a tour de force, pièce de résistance of somebody who knows their craft so well, so intricately well, that it's mind-boggling. The detail in here and all these little pieces with the layout. One of the other volunteers, Ben, had mentioned earlier that I believe it was 17 hours just to do the top part of this. When I'm done, if you can zoom in at all of these little tiny pieces, the math, the skill, the years of practice, and the final execution are just mind-boggling. So this is your little engine that could. This is outstanding. So while I applaud whoever did this, I wouldn't want to be you because I do not have that level of focus. Bravo, please, please keep making more.
Now, I think everybody has maybe seen all these nice little black ribbons that are hanging underneath all of the pieces. These are our 2020 In Art Show finalist ribbons. So everybody who gets into the art gallery receives, you know, the little pretty ribbon here. So our final judge's choice ribbon goes to another sculpture piece. This is Gary Carlson's piece. It is called Clarion Whisper, and it is an assemblage sculpture. I saw this piece at the White Bear Center for the Arts, and Gary was there showing his piece, and I asked him about it, and he said it was actually a way of expressing how pollinators talk to humanity. And so you'd see on there are the bees and the other pollinators whispering into the ear of humanity and saying, let's take a step back and look and see what's going on.
I love this piece. I was struck by it immediately when we were again looking at the slides the first time. Assemblage can be so difficult. It's something that I think a lot of people try to do.
I'm told to hang it there.
Okay. I think a lot of people try to do assemblage, but they often overlook the sort of seams and the junctions and those transition points, and that's something that's so sort of like beautifully and sensitively and delicately handled here. The piece is just sort of masterful in the sort of process on everything happening on the bust and on this sort of like large, almost like vase-like structure. It's just really beautiful, and again, I get so excited about this kind of work that has that's sort of paying homage to a craft tradition, and then just to see this in a rural space is just so exciting for me, because I love that the Hallberg Center is really pushing and sort of playing with what it means to be a rural space, and that it can be so much more than a craft center, and to see contemporary work in here and sort of some like risky abstract pieces with some more sort of like very traditional, beautiful like landscape paintings. It's exciting to see that, and I love this piece, and I love the nod to sort of environmentalism that's playing in there as well. It's just beautiful. It's a pleasure to see it in person. It's lovely. If you haven't had a chance to see it, highly recommend that you come down and look at it. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece to see in person. So.
Thank you, Allison. This is Eric Carlson's piece called Clarion Whisper. Now, the last award that we're giving tonight is the Director's Choice. And as I said before, the Events Committee is who is given the responsibility, given the opportunity to sit back and try to find a piece that really all of us can agree on. And you know, Rurik had mentioned it before, having 3 judges trying to decide on, you know, all these different awards is very difficult. But having 5, 6, 7 Events Committee members choosing one piece is even more difficult. When you've got so many different types of art, trying to choose one is very difficult. And so we managed to do it, and we'll walk over to that piece right now. This is Thomas Alvarez's digital photography piece called Perseverance.
Okay, I love Lake Superior, I love Duluth, I love everything about it. And I am one of the few people of Minnesota that does not whine about winter. I'm like, bring it on. You want 4 feet of snow? Give me 8. So this hits on all of my buttons as well. You have the lake, you have the snow, you have this classic weathered tree. The design is wonderful. The layout. So this is, again, is like I mentioned earlier, another one of those things where you come in and you're like, oh, well, you know, look, you've suddenly got some lichen or some leaves over here. Oh, I didn't see that before. Oh, look, you know, I didn't realize that quite all the icicles were as craggy as they were. Ooh, that just kind of feeds your soul. So while this one did not win a judge's award, I think that the executives made an excellent, outstanding choice. You know, the judges, we did talk about this one, as we did every single piece here. So, congratulations. And I'm going to reiterate what Jeff said. This is a wonderful show. Thank you for everyone who contributed. We greatly enjoyed looking at your art, judging it, and being able to participate in this show. So, whether you were in or not, whether you submitted or not, I highly recommend come down, see the show. It's a great break from COVID, from stress, and it'll fill your soul.
I also wanted to say that this piece just speaks Minnesota, so thanks, Thomas, for going out there. You know darn well that it was awfully cold when he took that picture, especially up at Lake Superior. So. The other thing that I wanted to mention is we have a People's Choice Award. We actually have 3 People's Choices Award. And you can go to inartshow.wyomingcreativearts.org. And that's it. So you go to that and you'll have a list of all of the artwork and you can choose 3 pieces and you can only do it once. And you can also vote in person. So please, please come on down. Vote in person to do the People's Choice. We'll be awarding that after September 19th when the show comes down. You've got almost an entire month to come down and see the show. So Hallberg Center for the Arts. The address, if you don't know what it is 5521 East Viking Boulevard in Wyoming, Minnesota. So please come on down. We'd love to see you. And thanks for being here tonight. Bring your mask. Thank you.